If you have ever considered doing an MBA, you would have probably asked this question. Is it really worth spending 40 to 50 lakhs on an MBA? In my case, the number was around 45 lakhs for doing my MBA at IIM Bangalore. Around 30 lakhs in MBA expenses and roughly 15 lakhs in salary that I gave up. So, naturally, everyone asked me the same question. How many years will it take you to recover the money? Honestly, I used to think that was the right question. Now I think it's completely the wrong way to judge an MBA. Because after graduating from IIM Bangalore, I realized the biggest returns from an MBA are the ones you can't put into an Excel sheet. And that's what I want to talk about today. When I decided to leave my job, it wasn't an easy decision. I had a stable income, life was comfortable. Walking away wasn't just emotionally difficult, it was financially difficult for me. Every month I wasn't working, meaning I wasn't earning anything. So the actual investment wasn't just the tuition fees, it was also the salary I was giving up. Altogether, it came to roughly 45 lakhs. And that's not a small amount, especially when you don't know what your career will look like after graduation. There were days when I genuinely wondered if I was making a mistake. See, whenever people discuss about an MBA, the conversation always almost becomes about salary. What's your package? How much are you earning per month? How much time will you take to recover the money? I understand why. Salary is easy to measure, but here is the problem. Not everything valuable can be measured. If someone asks me today, was your MBA worth 45 lakhs? I don't open an Excel sheet because I don't think that's where the answer lies. For me, the biggest return comes from four things that most of the ROI calculators ignore. The first one is brand. See, before IIM Bangalore, I had to convince people to give me opportunity. But after IIM Bangalore, I noticed that people were willing to have that first conversation with me. But that doesn't mean that the brand guarantees success. You still have to perform. But it definitely gets you through the doors that were previously closed. I received interview opportunities from many companies like Uber, Swiggy, etc. Opportunities I honestly think I wouldn't have received otherwise. The degree didn't get me a job, but it got me into a room. And sometimes getting into the room is the hardest part. The second return was the network, and this one took me longer to understand. When people talk about network, it sounds like collecting LinkedIn connections, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about building genuine relationship with people who are solving interesting problems. Today, one of my strongest professional networks come from IIM Bangalore. In fact, one of my later career opportunities, the company where I'm working now, Amazon, came through from one of my alumni from IIM Bangalore. This opportunity wouldn't have existed if I hadn't gone there. What is interesting is these things don't happen immediately after graduation. Sometimes they happen 2 or 3 or even 5 years later. That is why it is impossible to calculate a value of a network using an ROI calculator. This was probably the biggest surprise. I always thought that MBA would teach me finance, marketing, operations, and it did. But that's not what changed me the most. The biggest change came from being surrounded by incredibly smart people. I would watch someone from my campus solve the same problem in a completely different way, which I would have never anticipated. They asked different questions, made several assumptions, and they were clearly like 4 to 5 steps ahead. Initially, it was intimidating. Then something interesting happened. I realized I had to unlearn many ways of thinking that I have picked up over my 5 years of work experience and learn better ways. That changed how I approach the problems even today. Looking back, that shift in thinking has probably created more value than any individual subject I studied. The last return was confidence, not the kind that comes from getting an MBA, the kind that comes from an environment where everyone around you is exceptional. During my MBA at IIM Bangalore, there were so many moments where I felt completely average. Someone was better at finance, someone was amazing at marketing, another person would crack a case interview within minutes. At first, that was so scary, but over time, being around people like that raised my own standards. Just remember this, you are an average of 5 people you hang around with. It completely changed what I believed I was capable of. That's something I still carry with me today. Sometimes I think about the alternative. What if I hadn't gone to IIM Bangalore? I probably would have continued in my previous company, stayed in a similar industry, built a network within the same circle. I'm trying to say there is nothing wrong with that. But I don't think I would have understood how people from completely different industries think. I wouldn't have met founders, product managers, consultants, marketing managers, people building businesses. Those conversations quietly changed my ambition. Not overnight, but over time. And that's why I say MBA changed my trajectory more than it changed my salary. So, was my MBA worth 45 lakhs? For me, yes. Not because I recovered the money quickly and not because my salary increased, but because it fundamentally changed the opportunities that were available to me. It introduced me to people I would have never met otherwise. It opened doors that were previously closed, and it changed the way I think. If someone asked me today whether they should spend that much amount of money on an MBA, I wouldn't say yes because the salary is higher. I'd say this instead. If you get into a college that genuinely changes the opportunities available to you, it is one of the best investments you can make. You are not just paying for a degree, you are investing in a different career trajectory. And those returns are very difficult to measure, but they can change the next 30 years of your career. I'd love to hear your perspective. How do you define the ROI of an MBA? Is it just salary, or do you think things like brand, network, confidence, and opportunities matter just as much? Let me know in the comments. I'll read and respond to every single one. And if you like this video, consider subscribing. I make videos about MBA, careers, and making better long term decisions based on my own experience. See you in the next video.